Hello and welcome to our solo playthrough of the game of Legacies. So this is the new Kickstarter game. It probably kickstarted back in 2018. It's been a long time waiting for this game. Dice Tower did a video on this, which was of course prototype. John Gets Games did a really nice video of this. He had some of the components, but he didn't have all of them. So I think he had a prototype of some kind. And then Heavy Cardboard did a playthrough, which their playthrough was missing certain components. And I don't even know if they had the same game rules that I have. But there's a lot of people who have covered this game, but none of them have actually covered the solitaire mode. So I figured I would give that a try. And then introduce you to the game proper, because this is the actual official release. Whereas those guys, all of them, were sponsored, except for maybe John Gets Games. But I'm betting he was sponsored too somehow, because he had a copy before the rest of us were able to get one, 6 months before the rest of us were able to get one. So these are all people that are in bed with the developer, and their production quality of their videos is always excellent. I'm not poo-pooing that, but there's something to be said about the fact that they are... they're not necessarily going to have the best interests of anybody in mind. They took money to cover this game. Me, I didn't take any money. So here we go. Let's dive in and let's play. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cover the setup, and then the playthrough will actually be in video number 2. So this will only cover the setup and some basic introduction. The biggest thing I think I wanted to say was I'm really nervous about this game because this developer has no other game on his repertoire. This is like his first one that he made, and it's a heavy game, or at least people claim it's heavy. I don't necessarily agree that this is a heavy game. If you guys think this game is heavy, then you need to play D-Day at Omaha Beach or something. You guys don't understand what heavy is if this is heavy for you. Now, if I have a Settlers of Catan type player and I'm asking them to play this, yeah, this is going to be heavy for them. But I think if you've been in the board game business for a while, as far as a player goes, this should be a game you can handle. This is no worse than Madeira, which I guess is also considered heavy to other people, or any of the Lacerda games that are out there. I guess you could call those heavy as well. They're manageable. They really are. And hopefully after you see this playthrough, you'll agree. Okay, so as far as setup goes and components, this one is the deluxe edition, so I do have some upgrades. I am actually missing components. I just emailed Brookspun Games to ask them to send me components, and the components I'm missing is this. Some of the players don't have their star. This is the only component missing. It's this one. You get a little foundation one and a star one, and some of the players are missing the star one. So it's 2 of the player colors, I believe. Let me see here. The blue one is missing theirs. I think purple is missing theirs, and yellow. So I have 3 that are actually missing their star tokens. I may have to go revise my email to them. I think I only asked for 2 of them. But anyways, so let's go ahead and get started and do some overview. So this game is about, it goes over 3 centuries. So you can see here on this this little table, it plays over 3 centuries, and theoretically, or not theoretically, for all intents and purposes, you can call it 6 rounds, right? There's 6 rounds to the game, and each 2 rounds is 1 century. Now, every round of the game is a generation. So you're going to have like, you're basically a family, and you're trying to leave your legacy, right? And have the best legacy of all. So the legacies are tracked with Fame, which is this inside track here. And then you have Foundation, which is outside track. So there's 2 tracks that get maintained. Foundation is mostly determining who goes first. And then every 25 points of Foundation will get you a victory point, which goes towards your Fame. The Fame is the only thing that matters at the end of the game. So the Foundation, of course, the more Foundation you have, the more points you'll score from it. But the victory points, of course, is what ultimately matters. Okay, so we have these players that we get to choose from. And yes, this is I don't know what you would call it, a double layered board, triple layer board, I don't know. It's a double layered board. There's indentations here for us to put components in as we move from one century to another. Simply put, this is awesome. I think the board is very easy to read and understand. I have really no complaints whatsoever about this board. It is a little warped. You can maybe see here. I live in the cold climate, and I'm sure I probably just opened it too quick and didn't let it get back to room temperature. And so that's a little bit of a problem, but it's really not that big of a problem at all. Now, the players that you get to choose is everybody is going to be a certain type of family, and then that family is going to be a certain type of profession. So, for example, this is the inventor family. They're all inventors. And they have a special symbol that is just for that family. Each family member, like this inventor, for example, influences 2 industries. So they can make, these 2 industries, of course, are on the stock market, which is here. And so they influence, I'm assuming this is science, and that's, probably education. So you can see this is the education one, and the science one, I'm sure, is in here somewhere. Here it is. There's the science one. Okay, so they influence these, and then this is their starting properties. This is asymmetric. So if you choose the inventor, you're going to start with 4 fame, 8 money, and 4 foundation, and 1 gear or cog or whatever you want to call it. If you start as, the socialite, you can see it's very different. You're getting less fame, you have more money, you have a lot more foundation and a different resource type. So when you choose one of these characters, you can choose to be what's called upstanding, which is basically your special ability is going to be peaceful. And if you ever follow Rado, like he always talks about, his wife Jenny, they don't like games where it's, you do things to other players. Like they prefer the peaceful games. If you play with everybody on the upstanding side, this is, these special abilities only benefit you. They don't hurt anybody else. So that's what this would do. Or you could flip it over, and then it looks like this. So and this is called the, the downstanding. There's upstanding and whatever it is, it's a sword. This is the take that type of thing. And so here you can see you're taking resources from the supply and 1 resource from 2 opponents. So there's some interaction with other players that negatively affects them if you choose this negative side. And then those players, they do get to compensate themselves with another resource. So, it's still pretty kind. And the thing I was curious about is where the starting bonus is different, and they're not. They're exactly the same in this situation. So it doesn't matter which side you pick. You just, the only thing that changes is your special ability. Okay, some other things with these characters. Every character, so this inventor character has 3 other characters that they're amicable with, which means they get along with them. And so it's real easy to form a relationship. In fact, it's one of the special perks of these is these 3 characters, if you try to form a relationship with them, you don't even have to pay the cost to do that. And then also, you can take 1 more heirloom from them. We haven't talked about what heirlooms are yet, but every character has family heirlooms, and you can, you're trying to collect these heirlooms, and you can collect your own heirlooms, or you can collect heirlooms that belong to other players. These amicable people, you can take 1 extra heirloom from them. There's a limit to how many heirlooms you can take from other players, and you can actually take 1 extra if it's against an amicable person. And then you have rivals. So these are people that are hostile towards you, and in order to make a relationship with them, there's a penalty. So you have to lose 2 victory points. You actually give them the victory points. And then, but if you try to steal heirlooms from them, there's no cost. You don't have to pay the cost to steal the heirlooms from them, whereas you would against, somebody else. So it's very interesting. This game fascinates me at many levels. on the surface, I'm very impressed with it. The rulebook is really good. There's a lot of rulebooks that stink in this world, and this is not one of them. Obviously, it'll be put to the test as we play. I've never played this game, so I did do a few rounds with my son to make sure I got the rules, ironed out. It was a multiplayer game. I've never played solitaire against the AI. We did have this Rising Star. So I know I'm throwing all these concepts to you, but the Rising Star is if you play a two-player game, you can have an NPC character in the game that's called a Rising Star. And they're like what you're going to see here, but they're much more automaton. Their actions are very simple. And all they do is just score points, and they don't. What we're doing is playing against real NPCs. They have more. They do more, a lot more than the Rising Stars, and so those NPCs are in this game, and I have already selected them. So I'll introduce you to the first one. The first one is the promoter, who is playing on the downward side, and we can, we'll go over what each of these characters do more later, but they don't do anything in particular other than they just have different starting bonuses, and of course they all have different amicable and rival people. So the promoter is one. We're also going to be up against the general, and we are playing the philosopher, and we're playing the philosopher on the mean side, and then we're going to go up against the corporate mogul on the nice side. The general's also on the nice side, the master thief on the mean side, and the transportation baron on the nice side. Okay, so what do you need to do for setup? There's lots going on. You're going to have cards that look like this, that have a Roman numeral 1, 2, and 3 on them. These are the AI cards for controlling the AI bots. So we definitely need to use these. And oh, by the way, if I'm playing a multiplayer game, so let's say you came over and we wanted to do a 2-player game, and I'm showing you myself against 5 AI bots, right? I'm going to go up against 5. We can add AI bots to our multiplayer game as well. There's nothing special about this solitaire game. If you have a competitive PvP game, you can add AI bots to those as well. You can go up to 6 players every time. So anyways, we got these AI bots. And then this is their deck of cards, and we're in the 1st century, so we're going to use the 1st century cards. It is important to point out that some of the end game, or the conditions that cause a round to end or a generation to end, is listed here. I haven't explained what this means yet, but it's based on number of players. So 2 players, 3 players, 4 players, 5 players, 6 players. These AI bots that I chose, they're called Nemesis, by the way. These are Nemesis players. There's Rising Star AI bots, and then there's Nemesis AI bots. The Rising Star AI bots, like I said, they're very watered down. All they do is basically score points, and you just got to beat them, right? They're basically, think of a greyhound race, right, where they release the rabbit, the mechanical rabbits going around the track, and the greyhounds are chasing it. That's what it feels like to play against the Rising Star. These are Nemesis bots. Nemesis bots count as real players. So even though I'm playing solo, I'm playing with 5 Nemesis bots. So I'm going to be playing with the 5-player, 6-player condition for what causes a round to end. So that's very important. You can choose Rising Stars, but they don't count against that. The Nemesis bots do. So to be honest, that's, I think, one of the biggest differences between them. The Rising Stars don't use these, whereas the Nemesis will. And I know I haven't explained what these are yet, but the Nemesis players will use these, whereas the Rising bots don't. Okay, a couple of things. Let's talk about this component. You have these, gosh, I don't even remember what these tiles are called, but they're global tiles, meaning that if a player picks one, all players do the action. It's just that the player who picks it gets to do a bonus. They get a bonus to that action. So usually it's like double or whatever. It depends on the tile being picked, and we'll get into that when we play. The order that these tiles are placed usually doesn't matter, but when you're playing against the Nemesis bots, it does matter. And the order that I chose, you can see here, is the order that the Nemesis bots used for insane difficulty. I chose the highest difficulty in the game. Let me show you the rule book here. There is, it's the Guru difficulty. So they have Novice, Standard, Advanced, Expert, Master, and Guru. And then the order of the tiles changes for each one. And then the first scoring tile that needs to come out changes for each one. And I chose Guru. We're playing against the hardest difficulty possible. Look, folks, I'm very humble. I'm playing my very first game ever against the AI. I have not completed any game ever. I played 1 century with my son. We went through 2 generations. That's all the more I've played. I don't intend to win this, but I am going to go up against the hardest AI because I thought that would be the most interesting for you, is to see how tough they play. And then, and then we can go from there, right? You can judge whether you like this game or don't like this game from that. So these tiles, they go on. Now, these are the difference between the red and the blue is the red are mandatory. The blue are not mandatory. And all that means is in order for the round to end, these 2 must be taken. And then we just need a certain number of these to be taken. And then the generation or round ends. So getting a little ahead of ourselves there, but just to help you understand the difference between them. We have these legendary tiles, which are here. I have 5 of them selected. These 2 are hidden. I don't know what they are, but these 3 get revealed at the start of the game, and they're based on the century, and then these will be revealed in century 2, and then in century 3, that one will be revealed. There are a few extra left over, 3 of them to be exact. So you can have some variation from one game to the next because of that. There are also cards that look like this. These cards also have the Roman numerals at the top. These are event cards. You're only going to play 2 of these per game, and I've already chosen those 2. They're over here on the board, and then there's a whole bunch more. So it's going to be very uncommon for you to see the same events from game to game. The event deck, in order to build it, you just take 2 from each. You need 1 for every round, basically. There's 2 for the first century, 2 for the second century, and then there's going to be 2 for the final century. Okay? Obviously, you don't get to know what they are, but when the game starts, this is the active card, and then this is the coming on deck card. So you get to see what the event's going to be the next round, and then the one for the current round. Now, the events don't play automatically. They get played when somebody takes this event card. This is what triggers the event card, is when somebody takes that. Okay, we have this card here with the little flame on it, and you can see 2 of them are revealed. Those are successors. Those are that's your generation, right? So you're going to choose who's going to inherit your family name, and then they're going to be the one that carries on the next generation. And what they do is they're going to provide some kind of bonus to you, usually. And sometimes they could be detrimental too. Like I think there's a guy that burns bridges. So you could actually lose fame with him. But he gave you other bonuses, right? So basically you shuffle the deck and you reveal 2 cards. And then of course there's these cards here. These are our action cards. You're going to shuffle the deck, and then you reveal 3 cards, which are a market, Ticket to Ride style market. And we'll get into that some more. And then the player characters, not the Nemesis characters, the player characters get 3. So I'm going to go ahead and draw 3, and this is just going to be for us. The NPCs, the Nemesis characters, they're going to draw from this deck. So we don't have to do that. Now we have these tiles. The market tiles are going to go on the market. There's like a little picture to show where they start. And there's 3 types. You can see there's the green, the yellow, and the red. And that green is just a very bad blue, because the blues go under the green category. I know, it's not a perfect, it's like a blue-green. And then these yellows, of course, will go there, and then the reds will go there. So the order that they're stacked doesn't matter. What matters is that current stock value is the industry is worth $3. I want to say per share, but yeah, we'll go with that. It's per share. You're either going to own what they call a minor investment, which is 2 shares, or a major investment, which is 5 shares. So it's only going to be increments of 2 and 5. So if you had a minor, of course, that'd be 2 times 3. This would be worth $6. A major investment would be worth $15. And then there is a fame value for these industries as well, and that'll become more apparent later. And then if you're wondering what this is, these are dividends, which is another concept that we will explain later. This here is bonuses. So all the players on the board are going to be represented on this board. There are 10 total characters in the game. In any given game, you can have up to 6 players. So there'll be 6 player characters. The Nemesis are going to count as one of the player characters. And the Rising Stars would as well, by the way, if you're choosing one of them. And then, of course, if you're playing with 6, the other 4 would... I don't want to call them NPCs, because NPCs are the Nemesis characters. They still exist in the game. You can have relationships with them, but they're not going to be considered player characters from the point of view that we're going to go over next. So, for example, we have the promoter. And so I'm going to put the promoter is this guy right here. And how do I know that? I mean, he's got his little symbol. And the promoter is there. And so I'm going to put, he's the white player, right? So we're going to put that there. So that way you know that white is the promoter character. That's the first benefit that it provides for us. The next one is you need to randomly grab one of these and reveal it. And so what this is if I form a relationship with this promoter, in addition to any bonuses you get for forming a relationship with them, we're going to also get this bonus, which in this case, it's you get to draw a card, an action card, which is not bad. So the game will incentivize you to create relationships with other characters that are actually playing. Those 4 characters that weren't selected, like for example, the Inventor was one of them. The Inventor is right here. You can still form a relationship with the Inventor, but you're not going to have that extra special bonus. That's all. But it does make a difference, and these special bonuses can matter. So the next one is the General, and the General he's the military hat. He's right here. And we're going to grab one of his tiles, and you get 2 extra fame with the General. And so we're going to go around and do everybody. Like myself, I'm the Philosopher. The Philosopher is the little owl-looking owl reading a book. So there's mine, and I get a bonus on mine as well. So it is 20 gold if somebody forms a relationship with me. I actually don't even know that's going to matter, but I still put it out there. And the reason I say it may not matter is because I don't know... the AI has infinite gold in this game. So next one is the Corporate Mogul, which is here. That's the yellow player. And we're going to go ahead and that one also gets an extra card. And the blue player is the Master Thief. So they are here, and they're going to get... Oh, they give out a resource. You get a free resource if you make a relationship with them. And then the Transportation Baron, he has the wheel. He's this one. And he gets 20 gold. Well, he doesn't get it, but you know what I mean. And then the other 2 that we didn't pick, it looks like there's 2 of each kind, right? So there's 2 fame and another resource. So basically there's 2 of each kind, and you just grab whichever ones you can. All right. So once you get all that set up, you then also have to go through this and give the players their starting stuff. As I mentioned, you don't have to give gold to the Rising Star or the Nemesis player. They have infinite gold. So they don't use gold in the game. If they have to buy something, they just buy it. They have enough to cover it. If you're stealing from them, they have enough for you to steal, right? It's that kind of thing. But everything else they do get. And so, for example, the white player is going to get 7 foundation, 4 fame, and 1 cog. So I'm going to put the camera down, reach over to the resource box, and you can see there's a little cog here. And so they do start with 1 resource. And what did we say? 7 foundation and 4 fame. So over here, they're going to start 7 foundation and 4 fame. And so we're going to have to go around and do that for every character in the game. And whoever has the most foundation is going to determine who goes first. And the turn order track is right here. Okay, so as far as setup goes, that's more or less it. I apologize. The difficulty against the Nemesis forced me to take this one. So I chose the Guru difficulty, and so this is an end game scoring tile that's revealed, and it must be this tile. Normally in a regular PvP game, it's randomly picked for the first one, but this one must be this one. And so you're going to get 2 fame for every 25 gold in your foundation instead of 1 fame. Now, one thing I will tell you is that the AI cheats, and sometimes it just gets foundation points for free instead of doing an action. And so it makes total sense that they're now going to get to score 2 points for 25 foundation instead of just 1. Because that's going to help the AI to basically, they're going to score double against you now. Instead of 1 point every 25, they're not going to get 2, okay? So it makes total sense, and that's one of the things that probably makes them a lot more challenging. Now, the other one, with the little hourglass symbols, that's a century scoring. So we have a century tile there that was randomly revealed. And what that one says is, got to zoom in here, earn fame based on the value of your major investments. We haven't talked about what all that means, but basically that is going to occur at the end of the first century. And you can see we have 3 times a century is going to end. So we do that. Every player is going to get one of these. Obviously the bots don't need one. What you do if you're playing against multiple other players, this is a player aid, it's a decent one. You want to turn it to this side and then shuffle them. And you hand one to every player. And then the players reveal the number. And that number is going to determine who gets to decide the character first. So whoever had the lowest number gets to decide, which character they want. And then after they pick, then it gets passed to the next one and then to the next one. So you actually get to see what other people pick. The first 3 players, you get to see what they pick before you go on the 4th. And it could be important because the amicable relationships let you, you can steal 1 extra heirloom from them. And that's something that, you may want to be able to do, right? And you want to see what character has the best relationships with the ones that the other players have already picked. So anyways, and this is just going over the different tiles, which you see here. And then the other side, of course, is going over the different actions we're going to get to do when it's our turn. And it explains what each one does there. And it's a fairly decent player aid. I also have 1 copy of this. And this player aid will explain, when a generation starts, you do this. For each generation, you do that. When the generation ends, you do this. And so you just have a step-by-step so you don't forget anything when the century ends, and then when the game ends. Okay, so that's pretty good. Last thing I didn't cover, but it is very important, is every character has those heirloom cards we keep talking about. So the heirloom cards look like this, and this one is the general. How do I know it's the general? Because right here is the general hat symbol. And then the general influences, and you can see on his tile here, player tile, he influences these 2 industries, which is, I think that's education and then military, right? So his heirlooms also use military and education. I mean, that's where some of the synergy comes in. And you can also see this is an heirloom level 3. So he's going to have levels 1 through 5 of these heirlooms. And then this is a level 0, which is you start the game with level 0. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then there's a 6. Okay, so the level 0 heirloom, everybody starts with 1. And it goes right here in the player's heirloom section. Now, when you control your own heirlooms, they're going to give you money. If you control somebody else's heirloom, it goes to the other end of the player board over here, and those will give you fame. So if you take heirlooms from other players, you'll be able to score victory points. If you take it for yourself, you make money. Money turns into victory points. You could argue that. Also, you just need money to do a lot of the actions. So it's really a tough choice. I don't have a recommendation in the very short time I've played this game on which way to go. But I think it just, it's sort of the one thing I did get the sense of playing against my son is that sometimes you don't get a choice. Like, he stole an heirloom that belonged to me, so therefore I had no choice but to steal one from him because the way this mechanics works in this game. So the players will have 5 levels of heirloom, and basically what you're allowed to do is you're allowed to acquire a level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You're only allowed to have one of each level. So once I take a level 1 heirloom for myself, and it goes here, because my own heirlooms go on the left side, I can't steal anybody else's level 1 heirloom, period. It doesn't matter if I want it or what. Now, if I steal somebody else's level 3, then I can't buy my own level 3. It's just, you're only allowed to have one card for each level. Now, at the start of the game, these are all just available, right? So somebody can either steal it or you can, grab it for yourself. And then once you grab them, they go on the left or right side of your board. Okay, so what else is significant about these? On the top, you'll see that the number of resources you need to spend in order to acquire that heirloom. Obviously, the level 1 heirlooms are a little easier to grab than a level 5. And then if you flip it to the other side, this is the fame side, right? There's a fame side. So if somebody stole your level 5, so the war hat is still the war hat, right? This is the war hat if I keep it for within my family. This is the war hat if somebody else steals my family heirloom. Now, the one extra piece of information, you'll see the resources are the same, but over here, it's basically saying that if you steal this heirloom from the general, then you owe that general 1 victory point. So 1 victory point gets taken away from you and is given to him. So you do have to give up a victory point. Now, one of the interesting things about this game is if you steal from a rival, see this big slasher there, that means you don't have to pay that price. So you can steal an heirloom from a rival and you don't owe them anything. So it's an interesting little concept. And so I'm just going to put them in a single pile. They show you, in the game, they show you listing them all the way across. And of course, you need to do that so the other players can see what resources they need to buy a certain level of heirloom. At the moment, I'm playing just by myself. I'll go through them whenever I need to. Now, I didn't mention level 6. And level 6, you can see, is either there's a star on both sides, right? It's fame either way. The issue with the level 6 heirloom is this is your family dirty secret. So the general was dishonorable discharge. So he's going around society talking about, he's a military. He wants his veteran discount, and he wants everybody to tell him to thank him for his service. And he's actually dishonorably discharged, but he's not putting that on his Facebook profile. So the thing about this is you cannot take a level 6 from yourself or anybody else until you've first collected a 1 through 5. And the 1 through 5, like I said, doesn't matter if it's your own or somebody else's. You just need a 1 through 5 heirloom. And then and only then can you buy a 6 from a player or from yourself. So if you grab your own, then what you're doing is you're keeping your family secret a secret, right? So you're just doing a real good job of keeping it a secret. So by taking your own, you're preventing anybody else from getting it. Now, if you took somebody else's level 6, what happens is you get their special power. So their special ability is now also yours. They still have their special ability, but you can, when you trigger the ability to do a special ability, you can do your own, or you can also do theirs. Not also, it's a choice, but you can do theirs instead of yours, right? So that's the thing with the level 6, and yeah, you get their dirty laundry, and you're basically blackmailing them, and so they teach you their special ability, or you're leveraging them to do their special ability for you. Think of it however thematically you want. So that also goes in the pile. So every character has their own family secrets and their own special heirlooms. And so there's a big pile of them over here. So I got to grab them and put them with each one. And so once I do that, we're actually going to be set up and able to play. So let me pause this video. I'm going to do two things. I'm going to grab everybody's heirlooms, and then I also need to look at their starting situation and set the board up. So I'm going to do that. I'm not going to make you watch me do that. So I'll be right back. Okay, voila. So that's how it looks after setting and assigning all their starting values. One other thing I forgot to mention, when you're setting up your player board, there's these little plus signs, and you'll notice there's one here and one here. And so those are extra. These are not available to you to use. You can unlock those in the game when you fulfill certain conditions. And I put them right on their player portrait, but if some of you are like, I could, just as easily confuse myself and put it here, that would be very bad, right? Because these are you can view these as being still in the box, okay? But there is a way to unlock them and get them into the game. And I did the same for the AI players as well. The one other difference is I actually do need to play with money, and the deluxe version has very wonderful looking money. So everything is in the format of gold, and it gets really interesting because when you get into the 25s, you start getting some gold bars, and then there's the 100 gold bars, and then they even have the 500 gold bars. So very, very cool, the money in this game. Oh, okay, so we did that, and we did our heirlooms, and just for thematic flavor, everybody starts with a newspaper clipping. That's your level 0. So basically, you're going to have something that's going to get you money. Nobody has any heirlooms, though, that will get you fame. That would be over here. And so as a philosopher, our level 1, for example, is a gilded quill. And I need 2 of these red resources. And I happen to start with one of them. You can see it here in the corner of the camera. And then there's level 2 is the Well of Answers. And level 3 is the Manuscript of Musings. Level 4 is the Pensive Statue. Level 5 is a Library of Learning. And then my dark secret is I have Plato's Lost Works. I must have stolen them. All right, fair enough. So there you go. That is our stuff. And I think that the heirlooms they're very thematic, of course, but the one that's always funny is just the level 6 one. So the corporate mogul, for example, has a stolen business plan. So they stole someone else's plan. They didn't actually achieve their success on their own. The master thief is an interesting one. They have charity donation records. So I'm assuming that that's because they're embezzling money from charity. The transportation baron has railroad stock scam. And then we already saw the general one. And then the promoter here has a journalist bribe ledger. So he's bribing a journalist to probably promote his show because it's not that good. This one is the politician, and they have a campaign poster. Oh, no, that's level 1. What's their level 6? Oh, deceased voter IDs. Haha, that's funny. So dead people are voting for him. This is the robber baron, and their level 6 is counterfeiting molds. So yeah, they got evidence that they're counterfeiting. This one is the inventor. Alien spacecraft. So they're hiding an alien spacecraft in their family. And then this one is, let's see, who's left? Oh, this is the entertainer, or the socialite. So, socialite person. Their level 6 is, a forged birthright. Sorry if you can't read it there. But yeah, so very nice thematic thing. Okay, setup's ready to go. Oh, I'm sorry, one last thing. So now that you have this, the foundation determines the player order. So, for example, green is going first, then white, red, and purple. White, red, purple, and then yellow and blue. So we'll get yellow out there and then blue, and there you go. All right, thanks for watching. As always, stay awesome, and next video we'll be getting into the playthrough.